That's right, everybody. It is time for Military Press Wrestling Hour with myself. I am Silent J, and along with me, my esteemed co-host for the night are...
I am the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, too cold to hold, too hot to handle, the professor of professional wrestling, Adam McFarland, and this is
Mr. Dedicated Mike Weiser, brother.
Nice. All right, we are back for another... Oh, what the hell is going on here? What is this? What is That's why it sounded so funky. I hit the wrong damn button. Oh well, I always do that. Not with
everybody botches once in a while.
Yeah, it's okay. A radio botchamania.
Botchamania radio cast.
Nice. But yes, it is time for the Military Press Wrestling Hour. Brought to you by VetsOnMedia.com. Check out VetsOnMedia.com for all of your listening pleasure when it comes to internet radio shows brought to you by veterans, service members, or friends of veterans and service members, or just cool people. And we cover all bases here because I am a veteran and my co-hosts have some kick-ass shirts on tonight. Before we go on, for those of you watching the show right now, there's a Dusty Rhodes t-shirt. Who wears that anymore?
Sure.
My co-host wears that shirt.
I am a fan of the Common Man, one of the greatest of all time on the mic, especially.
If you will.
Will. And yes, he has dined on pork and beans. So, how are you guys doing? What was your week in wrestling like?
Well, mine sure does jump through a lot because I spend a lot of time watching the network, that's for sure. I actually dabbled in a little bit of 05 this week.
Nice.
I watched HBK and Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21, which was a dynamite match. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I was saying it gets better each time I watch it.
You know what? I think the theme this week between us, unintentionally, was Shawn Michaels WrestleMania matches, because I went back and watched this Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair. Goodbye retirement match for Ric Flair. Until TNA came along. But I watched that match.
Not so fast.
Yeah, I watched that match and it was like, damn, very good story told. And I am a fan above all else of good story told in a wrestling match. Some people, if you don't understand wrestling, or if you just casually watch it once in a while, the difference between a good match and a bad match, besides the moves and the characters and the angles and everybody involved, is just story being told in the ring. I'm a huge fan of the old school body part being attacked. Working on the leg.
You gotta work the neck. Work the neck.
Work the arms. Like that. If you have to do it on the in the video game, then it should be done in real life. Let's get those limbs in red, and we can move on. So, huge fan of that type of match, and it just to watch that was pretty cool because the history behind it. So I haven't watched the Shawn Michaels versus Angle match in a while. What did you think about the story that they told? Besides two phenomenal entertainers, athletes, character personas in the ring, how is the story of that match?
Well, when you take the two opposite styles and you put them together, Angle's such a technical wrestler, and then HBK's the finesse guy, and he's jumping off the ropes and everything, And when you put the two together, they really just put on, a 5-star match. Especially, Michaels does a dive to the outside, and he might have hurt his ribs, honestly, because he landed on the table, almost like in the Flair match.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just keeps going, man, that guy really.
Yeah, there's been some big, and this all ties into the topic that's going to be talked about for the next few weeks is WrestleMania. And there's like, always big matches. There's always big stories being told in those matches. But there's some big spots where it's like, holy shit, that had to hurt.
That, oh
Did
my God.
the Undertaker dive into the cameraman botch. The power bomb and RKO with Daniel Bryan.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Orton, I thought his kidneys were
He
done.
was broken in half.
What do you think about that? Because I watched a bit of that match recently too. No, I know what I watched on the network. The 30, the WrestleMania 30.
The Andre Memorial.
Well, leading up to it, all that stuff, the behind the scenes, the making of.
24.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when they showed that that move, and just you could see like, okay, maybe you should have got the monitor out of the way. The RKO powerbomb was off time a little bit. That hurt. You could see the welt on his back. You could see the the damage that monitor did, and you could see the face of Randy Orton, but it was like, oh shit, or oh whatever he said, it just slammed his hand on the ground. It's like, ooh, that looks painful. What are some of the big painful moments that you remember from WrestleMania besides good move, like legitimate, like, ow?
Yeah, oh, definitely. I actually remember Ric Flair being in the Money in the Bank ladder match and taking a bump off of the ladder, and I was like, oh man, someone's a little too old to be taking a bump like that. His back's got to be broken because he landed flat. And if you ever watch Flair, you realize when he takes bumps, he lands to his side a little bit because he's got bad back. And he landed flat on his back, and I was like, ooh, that can't be good.
I tell you, I remember from saying it's time in doing the Vader line. I think it was, I don't know if it was like, I think it was Clash of the Champions when Vader and Ric Flair went at it for the belt. And I think it was Vader gave Flair a superplex. I think there was a couple of them he gave in that match. I definitely give it up to Flair for the amount of just heavy duty bumps that he took throughout his career. And you can see like, okay, I'm gonna land on my side. It may not look good, but back in his prime, when you got Vader superplexing you off the top rope and he's landing flat on his back, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think there were numerous superplexes applied to Flair in that match. I think it was Clash of the Champions or one of the Clash of the Champions, if I'm not mistaken. So he took some heavy duty damage throughout his career.
Absolutely, but the thing I loved about Flair was I heard a story recently. It was Terry Taylor. He said that Flair. He was supposed to wrestle Flair at some huge venue for the NWA title. And Flair showed up, and he looked like hell. And he said he looked hungover out all night long. And he said, Flair said, give me coffee and a 30-minute nap. A 30-minute nap and coffee, and everything's going to be just fine. And Terry Taylor said he went out to the ring expecting Flair to come out looking like hell. And they're supposed to have this hour-long match. And he said, Flair walked out of those curtains, and he looked like, a Greek god of some sort, because he's Ric Flair, man. Once it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah, Flair's synonymous with, long matches, not little 2-minute matches, but, 30, 40, 60-minute matches,
Absolutely.
The long hour-long match. The TV time limits, I remember that. That was a big angle in NWA and WCW. Early WCW was the 30-minute time limit. And it was like at the end of the match, there was no winner. Oh, it was a draw. I remember as a little kid, like, why doesn't WWF do that? Do they give him all the time in the world? Oh, wait, now as I'm older, no, they gave him 30 seconds.
They don't make it. They don't make it that long.
Do you think you'll ever see like 60-minute matches again in like WrestleMania, just one-on-one? I understand like when it's like a three-way match or something like that, or a four-way match. I can see giving them a long amount of time if it's a big angle. But you think you'll ever see like the one-on-one 60-minute match again?
I think we will. Because you got all these news guys coming in, like Kevin Owens and Finn Balor. They got like a lot of energy in them. You can see them from like New Japan and ROH.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw
That New Japan style.
I tell you what, if you're a fan of wrestling and you've never watched New Japan, you guys brought up a good point. You need to watch New Japan.
Oh God, yes.
Oh yes.
I think it's. I mean, the majority of this show is about WWE because it's what 90% of the wrestling audience watches in America. But I'm telling you, New Japan I think is the best wrestling organization.
Oh yes, yeah.
Wrestling.
The Bullet Club.
Yes. Yeah.
Scott Hall Sons in there.
Yeah, Scott Hall Sons in the Bullet Club.
And the suntan biker man. Luke Gallows. I'm a huge fan of Luke Gallows. And bringing up the Bullet Club.
Biscuits and gravy.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not get Festus around here. All right. You think you'll see like badass stables like the Bullet Club in WWE? I think the closest thing was the Shield, but it was a little. You could tell what the purpose of the Shield was.
Yeah.
Introducing three guys and elevate Reigns. And that's exactly what it did. But do you think you'll see like just a badass stable? I think if they did Nexus over again, but with NXT guys.
Oh God.
I think because between Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, what's
Tyler Breeze?
Yeah, the Japanese dude. I forgot what his name is.
I can't.
Is it Atomi?
Atomi, something like that.
Atomi. I think, and then rumor has it that Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe. Oh man, let me tell you.
Really,
we were talking about that weeks ago before it happened.
Yeah.
Weeks ago.
That would
gotta
tell you what a Samoa Joe, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor, Inomi type group, maybe a Neville, somewhere where like these guys wouldn't take the wrestling aspect out of it, where some of these guys wouldn't work in WWE's main roster. You take a stable and a wrestling stable and label them wrestlers, like Dean Malenko's character, the shooter. Have a stable of shooters.
No personality.
No personality, at all. And the guy didn't blink, which kind of scared me. But I think like a shooter style group like that, where they go out there and just pick people apart, kind of like the Bullet Club does. I think that would be awesome for for WWE, and just make it like NXT, where they wrestle. We're the wrestlers are invading. We're taking over the entertainers. I think that would be a cool fantasy storyline.
I think that'd be something different. Mike knows a little bit more about the NXT crew than I do.
Yeah.
I know I do really, really like Finn Balor and Kevin Owens, and I think that Kevin Owens especially, we were saying earlier, a bunch of matches, who would have a good match with Triple H from the NXT crew, and I was like, could you imagine Kevin Owens versus cerebral assassin Triple H?
Yeah, big brawl match.
Oh,
that would be a great match. I think that would be, because Triple H is he's old school when it comes to wrestling. Like, he could tell the story, and look at some of the guys he's worked with. He can work stiff. He could tell a great story. For those of you that are listening and watching, some of the terms that are stiff is like actually, like putting some energy into
Some oomph into a
Some
move.
force.
like I'm not just going to graze you with the five knuckle shuffle. I'm gonna lay into you, so you work hard, you actually you hit hard, to make it look real, you make it real. Stuff like
Better
that.
sell the move, or that's what you're getting.
Make
Yeah.
the product good.
I think Triple H could work like that. Ed Owens, if you ever seen his, fight Steam fight stuff,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rings of Honor, that dude is he's like a smaller, more technically sound Vader in my opinion, where the guy can just freaking he could just beat ass, and he could take a good beating, to sell the match too.
And he jumps around like he's a freaking cruiserweight.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, what did you say? Like 230, 240, 250.
Yeah.
High.
Guy should be doing it.
Doing some of those moves. It's if there's guys that are more athletic and better looking as a wrestler, but they can't do the moves, Morrison, then I think just watch some Kevin Steen matches, watch some Kevin Owen matches. Be like, it's possible you can do it. I'm sorry, that starts.
Or old school and watch Vader matches for sure.
Yeah, Vader. Yeah, the dude had his eye legitimately popped out.
Opt out.
Pushed his eye back in. You go on YouTube, watch Vader versus Stan Hansen in Japan.
Stan Hansen. Japan, yeah.
His eye. I heard the stories, and then when I was able to, actually watch it for the first time, I'm like, holy shit, the guy's eye popped out like he was a character in.
And he keeps going.
Yeah, he pushed it in and he kept going, and he won the match. It's like, yeah, you could, you got to give it up to a guy that pushes his eyeball back into his head, and then okay, let's continue with the match now.
Queen's lead singer Freddie Mercury once said, "The show must go on."
Yeah, the show must go on. So the one thing I hate more than anything, and we're gonna get back into current affairs. John Morrison, from Eminem, and tag teaming with Miz and being by himself. That stupid Starship Pain movie had, it looked cool, but come on, really.
Mike used to hate his attire.
I hated it.
Ugh. The dude could move like no tomorrow. He could probably climb up a wall of water. He's that athletic. But damn, man, like you just put all that energy into it, and the only person getting hurt by your finishing move is you. It's stupid, and that's why when non-wrestling fans watch wrestling and they see that, they're like, oh, lame. Next channel,
Yeah, I'm more of a submission guy, I'm not about flashiness.
Done right, I think it's awesome. The cruiserweight matches in WCW was some of them were pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then come to find out, Syncope was really a Russian dude from Tampa. Named really
I did not know that.
But going into and then talk about cruiserweights and tying into stuff. I went to the house show Sunday. I took my daughter, my best friend took his kids, and we buddied up and we watched the house show. Him and I were reminiscing about some of the matches we had seen. We watched a WCW pay-per-view when Paul Orndorff had the heart attack in the ring, and then followed up by the really crappy scaffold match.
He had the in Buffalo.
Yeah, at the arena.
Fall Brawl 2000.
Yeah, his I saw Paul Orndorff's last pro wrestling match.
We saw CM Punk's.
Yeah.
Oh, was his last match was in Buffalo?
No, we were in Pittsburgh for the Royal Rumble.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I couldn't make it. I was living down there at the time, and I couldn't make it up for the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool seeing that.
Yeah, it sucks. In hindsight, it's like woulda, shoulda, coulda. I was a huge CM Punk fan.
Mm-hmm.
way before his his WWE days. I was a big Ring of Honor fan, and I was in the
His
Midwest.
matches with Samoa Joe are, oh man.
Colt Cabana.
Yeah, him and Colt Cabana were awesome. To go back and watch the CM Punk documentary, just to watch some of those segments, and it was like, you will be a fan of Punk's work. And so I was a huge fan of CM Punk before he even came to the WWE, and then to see him in WWE was pretty cool. And to see little flashes of like the Ring of Honor stuff, the indie stuff that he did was pretty cool to see here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool growing up a CM Punk fan and watching him in the ROH scene, and then one day you turn on, that nonsense ECW they had on Sci-Fi, and he's facing Just Incredible, and I was like, man, that's cool. He deserved it, that's for sure.
Nice. The reason why I brought it up, I saw Chris Jericho at the house show. He came out, and the music hit. I'm like, what? And then the lights hit, his jacket hit, and then the spotlight came out, and they did they had what was this talk show segment?
The highlight reel.
Jericho's highlight reel.
Yep, he did a highlight reel, and he was doing the typical house show stuff. Then they had damn it, what's his name? From the Wyatts, the dark beard, the black beard.
Luke Harper.
Luke Harper.
He's from Buffalo.
He's from Buffalo. Yeah, I was telling my friend like, Dad, that dude used to wrestle in Buffalo.
When I was 12, he was known as Brody Lee.
Yep.
And he ripped my sign.
Nice. Didn't he do a truck driver gimmick in the Indies around here?
Yeah, he was Big Rig Brody Lee, and he came out to Johnny Cash.
Nice. The dude, he's a good worker. He's a big guy, and I like his work in the ring. I think he could be a really big star if they just have him maybe wash his T-shirt once in a while.
That's the gimmick, man.
Disgusting watching it. It's like, oh man, it's like once, I'd like to see him do like a side headlock as a finishing move, and just have some dudes, like it's just some poor bastard's face, like Heath Slater, just having his face just all up in that dirty, disgusting.
I mean, it looks like they went out and found a 6'7" homeless man, but.
I'd love to find a 6'7" homeless man.
Well, he's in the ring every Monday, and
yeah. I want to find a real 6'7" homeless man and ask him, "You're 6'7". There's no reason for you to be homeless, none whatsoever." But tying all this up with all this stuff that we just talked about, and we're on I hate to use cliches, but it's the road to WrestleMania. And
time of the year, man.
It is the time of the year. Best wrestling time of the year is between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and then Monday Night Raw.
Night Raw the next night's always the best.
Best Raw.
I love the Royal Rumble just to see who's going to come out. What old dude's going to come out. I like that. I wasn't disappointed this year as opposed to last year. But
yeah, oh God, when we went to the Pittsburgh show and nobody came out except Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
Who else did we get?
Kevin Nash and
I took it off for 2 seconds.
I think that's it, really.
Yeah, and he did nothing. Even though I did mark out when he came out, I'll give it that. But I'm just a big Kevin Nash mark in general, so hell with it.
Got invited to a whiskey tasting whiskey tasting event tomorrow. But now since it's the best time of the year for wrestling, and the Royal Rumble was cool. Got to see some old faces. You knew who was gonna win before it even happened. But then I think building Roman Reigns up to be ready for WrestleMania, I think they've done a really good job. The WWE, that is, and Daniel Bryan, I think that was fantastic, putting him together, and I think Daniel Bryan's done more to get Roman Reigns over with the crowd than Roman Reigns has.
Which is what I said last week.
Yeah.
They are using them to get him over, which I guess I'll have to accept, even though I'm not happy with Roman Reigns being the guy.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it either. Like I still think that Daniel Bryan and Brock Lesnar would be able to put on a great match.
Definitely.
You you got power versus technical. They're both experienced. Both have over 10 years as pros. And just the fact that one's just a legitimate beastly badass, and the other guy, is been put down for so long, and to come back from an injury where he legitimately could have retired and battling back, it's just like that. Yeah, and there's okay, hold on, let me here we go. And there for the audience that listening.
I'm all in for that one.
There we go, and it overpowers the John Cena one that my daughter got last January. First Niagara Center, which we didn't even get to see at a booth. Some lady was just walking up and down the aisle selling this, so I don't know if it's real. I don't think it's real. It's just some lady needed beer money. So she just Xeroxed a bunch of copies, scribbling them up in a bathroom stall. But Daniel Bryan, I think, just the fact that he's been put, his gimmick has been, I'm gonna fight back, for being put down. The best story I think they could have told was he's gonna fight back from an injury that's gonna put him down, and they got legitimate broken neck issues, neck problems.
It would have been better than last year's story, and that's hard to top.
Yeah. All this nerve damage and stuff, and I'm going to prove I beat this injury by going up against the most dominant, beastly, legitimate, I could kill you since Andre the Giant is Brock Lesnar. I think they just whipped. They put too much. I think they pushed Reigns too fast. But like you said last week, that Daniel Bryan did his job, and they used him properly to put over Reigns. Which I like I said last week, I think they should have put Reigns in for the IC, and then do a SummerSlam. IC title versus heavyweight title.
Yeah.
Reigns versus
Brock, like Hogan and Warrior.
You never know. They might be looking to do that. Building it to the future, because it looks like Bryan's going to be.
He's going to be in the ladder match, and I think they're trying to make the belt mean something again. So.
What would be funny? I just thought Roman Reigns is the world heavyweight champion, undisputed world heavyweight champion. The U.S. title holder is John Cena. The IC title holder is Daniel Bryan. What the fuck?
No comment. Jeez. You know what, though? It'll be cool to see the IC belt mean something again, if that's where they're going with it. And I think it'd be extremely awesome to see the U.S. belt also mean something. So sick of just there being one belt that means something. I remember when, the IC belt, there used to be matches for the IC belt that were better than the matches for the world title.
Because you always had the world heavyweight, the world champ was Hulk Hogan,
Mm-hmm.
Going back in 80s, 90s, era, it was Hulk Hogan. It was the Ultimate Warrior, the occasional, bad guy, the occasional heel. And the Iraq version of Sergeant Slaughter, dumbest freaking thing ever, or Ted DiBiase going for it, stuff like that. The IC, and you'd see if you didn't order the pay-per-views, you'd see a heavyweight title match once a year, maybe twice a year. There weren't really too many matches on Superstars of Wrestling.
Definitely a different time.
But the IC match was the legitimate wrestlers, the Bret Harts, the Mr. Perfects, Rick Rude, Shawn Michaels,
Razor Ramon.
Razor Ramon, Ricky.
There you go.
the Macho Man. You know, and I started to exclude the Macho Man from the heavyweight champion, but they had
Shame on you.
they had the IC belt, and that was the stuff you saw on TV a lot. So to me, the IC belt was always amazing watching the feud for the IC belt. You know, back in the same with the U.S. heavyweight.
Over at WCW and NWA, yeah. Bret Hart, again, DDP.
Yep.
Bill Goldberg, when he was undefeated.
Raven.
With Raven?
Oh, Raven was a great U.S. champ, man. Oh, he had some awesome matches.
He was perfect for that belt.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
was.
Made for that belt. Or even back in the day, since we're talking about belts with no prestige, European.
Yeah, one of my favorites.
They need to bring it back.
Eddie Guerrero right there, European champion. They should have done that with Rusev. I said all along they should have made Rusev, made him change the name to European champion, and then somebody fight for the tagline of U.S. champion back. Great storyline. But it'll never happen. So, like, those belts back, the TV title with Fit Finlay and Booker T. Those
Chris Benoit.
Chris Benoit. What was the best of 7? Was that Finlay and
Booker T? Was that Booker T and Chris Benoit?
either him or was it Fit Finlay?
I'm pretty sure it was Chris Benoit because they remade it for the U.S. title on Smackdown with Booker T and Chris Benoit again, didn't they?
Yeah, it was.
They did the best of 5 series with Cena and Booker T. I remember that one.
Yeah, but the original, well, the one in the early Monday Nitro days, that best of 5 series or best of 7, what I think it was best of 5 series for the television title, was great storyline. They should do that if they want to make the U.S. Belt mean something, or the IC belt. Do a best of 5. Not stupid ladder match. What is it? A ladder match for the IC?
Yeah.
What do you?
Which will be a great match. I think it's going to steal the show.
Yeah, it'll be a great match, but I just think that's like, oh wow, man, we forgot about a bunch of guys.
Seriously in a big way.
So, what are your thoughts? Let's get into WrestleMania. What are your thoughts with the participants so far? Which I think they're adding them every day. The participants for the IC ladder match. What are your thoughts? Who do you like to see win? I think it's going to be Dean Ambrose, or I'd like to see Dean Ambrose win it. But who do you think is going to win? Who would you like to win, and what do you think of the match?
Who do I think will win?
I think Bryant.
I don't think Bryan's going to win, though that I will tell you, come WrestleMania, if he does win, I'll probably be running around my house going wild because I stand at the forefront of the Yes movement. But I do think Dean Ambrose got a good shot, which I don't mind seeing him win either.
Yeah,
Or Stardust.
I think my girl would well, I'm going to call her my valet for tonight. I think
The lady in his corner.
lady in my corner, Miss Elizabeth. She's just looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? A big Daniel Bryan fan. She's the one that actually pulled out the autograph picture, and she's got the yeah, she does that. She does that every time I get naked. Yes. Yes. No, actually, she goes, no. She goes, heel, bro. But she's got a Fear the Beard T-shirt, and oh, Respect the Beard, not Fear the Beard. She's got the Respect the Beard. So she's a big Daniel Bryan fan. So yeah, Daniel Bryan would be it would make sense. I think but they won't. She's just like, they won't. I think pre-Road to WrestleMania, pre-Fastlane, I would think it would have been Dolph Ziggler because of the match that he had and the story in what was it was it Royal Rumble?
Where they buried him?
No, geez, what pay-per-view was it?
He had the ladder match with Harper.
Okay, what was the one before that then? Was it Survivor Series where they had him?
Where he won?
It's where he beat everybody with Team.
Yeah, Survivor Series.
Sting helped him. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like that right there was like, okay, there's Dolph Ziggler's big push, you know.
I was saying earlier in the week, sometime I was saying Ziggler winning at Mania would be the ultimate story because I swear to you, every match I watch him in, he loses, and I'm like, but he has an amazing match. I'm like, that time's gonna come eventually. I mean, because the fans like him. That time's going to come eventually where he's going to get that push, and I really think he does deserve that WrestleMania moment.
It's like the next Shawn Michaels.
Oh, yeah, I think he's great.
Yeah, I think he's really good, and he's also very fun to follow on Twitter. And
Heel Ziggler, right?
Yeah, Heel Ziggler. He's funny as hell on Twitter. He's also a stand-up comic. When they travel the road, he covers dates at comedy clubs.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in between like house shows and Raws and stuff like that, he's he's an aspiring stand-up comic. Which it's like, why don't they play?
He also used to be a cheerleader.
Yeah, he was a cheerleader and he banged Amy Schumer. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, they dated. Oh, who didn't? Oh, yeah, Amy Schumer. A stand-up comic. She's a really funny comic, and her and Ziggler, I guess, dated for a while. But she actually there's a routine in her comedy in her stand-up act that, well, she hasn't done it in a while, but she's like, yeah, to break up with him because who wants to get the pile driver in bed every night?
Yeah, I heard he does like all sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, so it's like I mean, I would play. Why don't they play that up? The fact that he's a comic, he's got natural charisma. I like the gimmick that he does now is cool, but they should have him do more of a comedy thing, not like a cheesy comedy thing, like Santino, but like go out there and rip on guys.
He would be that ultimate heel, man. He could be a really good heel, just ripping guys apart.
He could be like Jared.
Rip on you and then beat you. Like I'm gonna make fun of you, then make you tap.
Absolutely.
So well, the guy, I like the guy because he used the sleeper hold as a finisher. So to me, I've applied the sleeper hold on my sister plenty of times, and she didn't pass out. So that's when I started to realize it was kind of bogus. Like, and I had her right around the neck, not on the chin. I mean,
Did she start to do the fade, and did you raise the arm, and she makes the comeback?
I used to make her do that before.
I think any wrestling fan that's put a sleeper hold on somebody expects that arm to go up and drop twice. And go back up. And if you don't, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah. With more about, I'm just thinking, I did find out though that the Boston Crab was a legitimate hold when I put it on, when I applied it on my sister, which crying her eyes out. And I'll buy ice cream. Shut up! Don't tell mom. Don't tell mom. More about WrestleMania. What other matches, as you've seen since we talked, it's been a week and, more matches form and more angles form. What do you think is on the horizon of, it hasn't happened yet, but it's a possibility?
AJ Lee and Paige versus DeBellas. That's going to be one of them.
Yeah. Two really good wrestlers versus the Bella Twins.
Yeah.
Well, I still, as I said last week, I'm going to keep watching this Rhodes feud develop. But on top of that, this Taker and Wyatt, Wyatt really on the mic, man. That guy is it's like poetry, man. He just goes.
It's like Tupac.
He really is. He just goes, man. That guy knows how to grab your attention and keep it. And in the ring, he's even better.
Yeah. He is surprisingly really good compared to when he was Husky Harris.
Husky Harris, he sucked.
I liked a couple of his moves, but it was just like, okay, a fat guy that could jump. It's great. tie a
We've
Twinkie.
seen it before.
Yeah, tie a Twinkie in a tree, and you'll see every fat guy jump. But it was like okay, and then he had that gimmick in Florida Championship Wrestling where he had like was it tape on his face or something like that? That was his.
I never saw that one.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, after he was sent back down, after he was Husky Harris, it was basically like he was breaking away from Husky Harris. So it was like tape or some weird mask or something, which led to Bray Wyatt. It was like a
transformation,
so to speak. But wow, when he came back as Bray Wyatt, and now it's like the guy's great. Like I said last week, I think best character in WWE, second to The Undertaker.
And this is going to be Taker passing the torch. I think it's going to be awesome, And this is, us all as wrestling fans, and me especially, growing up in the '90s. It's going to be kind of cool to see that, that time pass on.
This could be his last match too. So.
I think it will, and it should be, because like I said, next year's WrestleMania is in Texas. You want to sell out a Cowboy Stadium, over 100,000 people in that stadium. You want to sell it out and really get a buzz. Have that Undertaker moment being the Hall of Fame. I think
I agree.
Absolutely.
Perfect. But it's the
and have Austin main event Mania.
That would be my dream WrestleMania match. Yeah, and it's whatever, it's cliche, but I would love to see Steve Austin and CM Punk.
Oh man, it's so sad that we're not going to see it, and I don't know who's on the roster that I would want to see Austin. I mean, I could give you a list.
I think
Ambrose. Ambrose is good, but the Punk Austin story would have just been too good. Too good.
Oh, Axel Mulligan was Bray Wyatt.
I recognize the name.
And I didn't realize what that was.
Was it Mulligan? Because
Axel
it's
Mulligan,
grandfather's Blackjack Mulligan.
Yeah, it makes sense. His finishing move was the stunner.
That's terrible, but
but yeah, let's see. Return FCW 2011-2012. Rotunda returned to FCW and debuted a new character in March 2011, that of a hockey mask wearing Axel Mulligan, but the character never made it to FCW TV. I saw it on clips, and Rotunda continued to play Husky Harris character on TV. Harris became embroiled in his brother's Bo's heavyweight feud, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, it was just like this weird character he was doing. And I think, that it was the weird thing. I think the mask that he wore had tape on it or something like that, because it wasn't like a white, Jason mask. It was like beat to shreds and stuff like that. But that just shows like gimmicks being thrown away, thrown to the side. Like they should have talked about that transformation of how everybody knows he's Husky Harris and he's Rotunda's kid. How is he Bray Wyatt? What was the transformation? Just like what's his nuts with the sheep's mask.
Eric
the significance of the mask and what it represented instead of just this big, bald Viking looking dude.
I would like to see them get deeper into that story, such as they did get deeper into the Undertaker story when Kane came in, with Paul Bearer and all that. Where did the Undertaker, where did this guy come from? We've seen him for so many years, but what's a little bit something that we don't know about him? And when Kane came out, that developed that character, the Undertaker character so much, and I'd like to see that possibly happen with Bray Wyatt.
That would be awesome, and I hope if there's a time where they cross paths again, Rowan, Harper, and Wyatt, and the feuds or teaming up or whatever the case may be, I hope they really get more into what the background of the characters are supposed to be. That's the one thing that aggravates me with WWE now is character development or lack or lack of character development. They're pretty good at building up angles, but not so much characters. Like, why did all of a sudden, three guys become the New Day, or
Yeah.
why is this guy, doing this now instead of that? Why is she doing this? Why did I see him do this on NXT? But all of a sudden, we're going to completely ignore.
They don't take, I feel like they don't take, and that I think it's also the problem with having a 3-hour Raw, is they don't take time to think about these things because you got to move so quick and throw all of this in there. I want to see them take time to develop these characters.
Well, that's the thing. They gave themselves enough time in front of the camera to develop these things. It's just like.
What I would like to see is I would like to see more personal promos, such as in the 80s and 90s.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
where
ECW type of stuff.
Yeah, where they just have the camera on that guy, and they got the background or whatever. Even if he's standing in an interview area, just that one guy doing a promo.
Yeah, instead of Young or was it Saxton or Sexton? Saxton.
Sexton. Yeah, I know what you're talking. Brian, was it Byron Sexton?
Byron Sexton. Yeah.
Got big head.
Yeah, he does.
Awkward.
Just doing the really shitty attempt at being Mean Gene and just asking them a question and stuff like that. Yeah, do like the old school, let it pop up in the corner and have them talk. I used to love that, especially to talk about. Just coming out all of a sudden there'd be the screen moment, and all of a sudden he's doing the chant, and then it's like, oh cool, he's gonna talk. I used to love that sort
The Bret Hart promos.
Don't remember.
They would have the Hitman in the background. It would say Hitman on it, and it'd be a big screen, and he would do his own personal promo.
Yeah, stuff like that, or the Ultimate Warrior had the best, solo promos. And it was made fun of in one of the DVDs that WWE came out with, but it really was like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
No one has no idea.
No idea, but that's what made his matches awesome, because it's like, this guy's crazy. He's insane.
He's awful.
Very energetic.
He's energetic, and he's insane in the ring. So that fit perfect. And that's, I think, what we're missing a lot of. Speaking of the past, and I'm going to call this the history mark, and I'm going to come up with a little music. And for those of you that really like wrestling, you know what MARK stands for. It's not just some dude. We're not talking about him. But history mark. And it kind of plays into, they did leave a mark in history. You mark out for that guy and stuff like that, and historical wrestlers or angles, or pay-per-views or things of that nature, and put it to a vote. It was either going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin, Eddie Guerrero. I spent $20 on something that didn't come to fruition, or Terry Funk. And just as he jumped up and said forever 5,000 times when he won the NWA title back in the day, Terry Funk is our history mark of the week. And I've watched some of the ECW stuff, his feud with Mick Foley.
Classic.
Back in the day, which was awesome. And he brought out the branding iron, which we had a conversation the other day when I was a little kid, and he was branding or trying to brand like the Junkyard Dog or other guys like that. And when he would brand people, it's like, oh my God, he's just branding them with a hot branding iron. And
flames and stuff over.
That's in 2000.
But it's like he just had a 5-minute match. I'm pretty sure that thing cooled down, and it's it's a stamp. That's what it is. It's just. But as a little kid, suspension of belief, things cool down. But with that being said, he had the branding iron, and he was whipping around the rope, the bullhorn. He had the cowboy hat. He was the badass for Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse.
Also in The Ringer.
And the Ringer. He was Chainsaw Charlie. He was, the old guy with the striped tights.
Crazy bastard.
Yep. Then there was the Funks in WWF in the mid '80s. It was Terry Funk, Dory Funk, and then there was another guy who wasn't really a Funk. It was like Os Funk. So Terry Funk is our history mark of the weekend. The guy's career spanned since the '70s, since the territorial NWA days. His big territory with him was in West Texas. Funny, he's not even from Texas. He's from Indiana.
Which I did not know until you just said that.
Same.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know if he was just popped out when his dad was on the territory circuits. But what are your memories? What each of you guys give me your thoughts on Terry Funk. Favorite match, favorite gimmick, which all of his gimmicks are kind of the same.
Kind of the same, yeah.
Just crazy, just a crazy dude from Texas. As he gets older, he gets crazier. But just you look back, even the Chainsaw Charlie stuff with the New Age Outlaws, just phenomenal. The stuff with Mick Foley, the crazy guy going after the non-hardcore Mick Foley in ECW, or the badass in WCW, in NWA. The guy has so many different personas and just nuts, completely insane.
He broke Ric Flair's neck, damn it.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite moments of Funk? Favorite time periods, like I said, angle, match. Pick a territory, federation.
My favorite was when he was in ECW, when he had one of his last title match in ECW was Barely Legal '97 against Sandman and Steve Richards, and then after that match, the triple threat match, he goes against Raven for the title.
He's bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, he gets his ass kicked, but
he wins, and which is actually a great moment when he wins, because he's bleeding everywhere, and Raven beats the piss out of him.
His best moment in ECW, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I was way too young. I was born after his NWA time, and there's only so much footage. I'm sorry, but those wrestling matches in the '60s and '70s were dog shit, in my opinion. It
was a different time.
Yeah, it was a different time, and
Harley race and all that.
Oh, that's awesome. He's in a wrist hold for 20 minutes.
But I mean, when you get towards like 77, it's not that bad, depending on who's.
Yeah, no, I know there was some really good stuff. I think go back and watch any Pat Patterson match. Just good stuff.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, and then Funk was like, he was pretty damn good in the '80s. Megan writes in Terry Funk getting choke slammed out of his shoes by the Undertaker.
Hell in a Cell match. Right?
Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, his time in ECW is when most of us, like I said, I saw him wrestle in the '80s, but when most of us were really exposed to him in the '90s at ECW, and then
he was the leader of that locker room.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Role model to Tommy Dreamer, Mick Foley.
And if you watch that Beyond the Mat documentary, it shows how amazing documentary. If you like wrestling or you're a fan of documentaries, I will definitely talk up a documentary that's been out for almost 20 years now. I'm a little behind the curve on that one. But if you go back and watch that documentary,
it's still a classic.
Yeah, just how important he was to those guys in ECW. And I almost want to say I could tear up thinking about ECW. I'm legitimately being honest, because that was my teenage.
Oh, man.
Watching that, I remember staying up, being grounded by my mom, and then sneaking up in the middle of the night, like 1 o'clock in the morning, to watch ECW TV on like Empire Sports in New York or MSG.
Yes, sir.
And then my mom waking up and just beating the snot out of me for going and turning on the TV when I was grounded or stuff like that, and going and going and watching the matches at the Burt Flickinger Center. It was just to me, ECW was my teenagehood because it was like angst, it was rebellion, it was going against the system because the system was WWE and WCW, and ECW was like everybody's teenager, you know.
Man, if they had the money, that company could have went so much further. You know, if everything didn't, go the way it did, that company could have went so much further.
Yeah.
Way bigger than what, its financial beings let it be.
Because it was different.
And unfortunately, I think somebody with money smarts needed to be there.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman, genius. When it comes to wrestling, promoting, just having people drink the Kool-Aid type thing, but not so.
Vince Lombardi of professional wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah,
that guy can talk.
Terry Funk though was like whatever everything that Paul Heyman was saying back then. Terry Funk was the shining example. Nobody wanted him. Why didn't WWF have him at that time? Why didn't WCW have him? He was cast away as being old, and he went out there and like, watch, I'm gonna put myself on the line for this, having those barbed wire matches, having those the three-way matches, the matches with with Public Enemy, with
Shane Douglas, one of my favorite feuds.
Yeah. And one of my favorite moments, it wasn't anything he did wrestling, but when when the crowd started throwing in all the chairs.
Oh my God, he waved his hand.
He waved his hand like, bring chairs, and the whole crowd started throwing chairs in. He does this like, I'm a drunk old uncle.
And falls back.
I think he got clipped in the head with a chair, and he like looked to the side. Like, if you've ever seen a drunk guy fall, it's hilarious in slow motion all at once. He turned to the side and just he did this fall back onto the mat. To me, that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, or one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Another funny Terry Funk moment is ECW One Night Stand, the second one in 06, is in that tag team match. He picks up the ladder, puts his head in the ladder, and starts spinning around the ring. And he almost clips Tommy Dreamer, his tag team partner.
Yeah, I don't think he really ever cared about tag team partners other than Dory. The stuff with him and Mick Foley and Mikey Whipwreck, from Buffalo, New
York. Out of Buffalo.
Yep, out of Buffalo. It was awesome. But what do you guys think of, like, because like I think the Attitude Era, one of the best eras, one of the best times ever to be a wrestling fan, and it was partially, I think, responsible to some of the ECW guys that came over, Mick Foley, Terry Funk, name two of them. Terry Funk is Chainsaw Charlie. I used to hate it because it's like, that's like your boy Dusty in Polka Dots. Like, why are they putting a pantyhose on this dude's head? But then,
you seriously don't want to get me started about the polka dots. I'll go on and on.
Listen, brother, I do a good job in the polka dots.
If you will, me and my sweet sapphire.
But for years it was like, why did they put a freaking pantyhose on Terry Funk's head? A pantyhose? No, it was only singular. He only's got one head. No, it's a pantyhose. It's dirty.
It's a pantyhose.
When he put one pantyhose on his head. You know how that sounds?
And carried a chainsaw.
Yeah, and he carried a chainsaw with no blade on it. I've never seen a chainsaw smoke that much. Running a little rich, my friends, if you know anything about single-stroke engines. But that dumpster moment, if you guys want to talk about that.
Dumpster match?
Building up to that WrestleMania 14 match, which is actually a great match.
Yep.
I mean, it's not one of those, 5-star, classic matches, but it is a great match. And I remember when I was a kid watching the New Age Outlaws dump Chainsaw Charlie and
Foley.
Mick Foley off of there. And I was a kid, and I was just like, oh my God, like, whoa, like, what just happened? You know, I thought they were dead.
Oh, the best Jim Ross
Jim
calling
Ross, yes.
sons of bitches, there's human beings in there.
My favorite Jim Ross line out of any Jim Ross line is when he yells, "That man's got a family."
Yeah. It is. Yeah, that man's got a family. That is awesome. That is awesome. Remember that now. Or speaking of JR calls, we have an absence from the show tonight. Tammy's baby boy.
Tammy Bender's baby boy.
Yeah, Tammy Bender's baby boy. Yeah, the AJ Hawk without talent, Brandon. He's not with us because he had a I like to sit down when I pee moment last night. I talked to him and he goes, I just want to enjoy the show. So,
I want to sit back and listen to everybody talk about wrestling.
yeah. So he is going to be our special correspondent, which I'm working with him on some stuff. He's going to be post pay-per-views and post big moments and stuff like that. Maybe do every other week or every 3 weeks. But then we got some guys from Vets on Media that are going to be on every once in a while with us, and they're going to throw in their 2 cents. And here's the thing, like most of us at Vets on Media are military. Some of the biggest wrestling fans you'll ever find are in the military, and I do got to say one of the coolest groups of people to go overseas while I was over in Iraq were wrestlers from the WWE. Big Show going over there, Kurt Angle going over there, Hulk Hogan. Well, when he was something, what was it? Something America.
Okay, Mr. America.
Mr. America, when he had the mask and it wasn't.
That was not Hulk Hogan. He passed the lie detector test. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he's passed a lot of lie detector tests. Like, no, I've never touched my daughter inappropriately, brother. But
hey, let's talk about the Hulkster, brother. Come on.
It's only suntan oil, brother. But you know, we're gonna have Tammy's baby boy on every so often. We're gonna have other people. But before we go, I want you guys to both say just quick your favorite Terry Funk moment that people have to watch on, like, however, YouTube, the network.
God.
One moment that they gotta watch if they want to relive a great Terry Funk moment, if they're big Funk fans, or if they're not. What's the one thing to, like, just really sink your teeth into tonight and watch some cool Terry Funk stuff?
Not as much of a serious moment. But if you go back to WCW Slamboree 2000, he faces Dustin Rhodes and comes out with a chicken on his hand.
Changing the rules.
And in the middle of the match, he grabs the microphone and changes the rules of the match by screaming into the microphone, "I'm changing the rules." And another one is he got Mick Foley's eye at that one-night stand, and Mick Foley gashes his eye or whatever he did, and he's yelling in the ring, "My eye! My eye!" And he's holding his eye. Just, you know, Terry Funk, just the way he yells things and does things, it's comical. He doesn't even mean to, you know, do it. He just does.
And to hear him talk, it's just like, hey, yeah, I'm a professional wrestler.
For monotone.
I can't really give it up. It's, you know, it's in my blood.
Tried like 5 times.
My wife divorced me, and then we're back together again, and you know, it's just it's what I do, and you know, it's what I love. I love working with the boys.
Me and Cacti.
But Mr. Dedication, what is your moment, your Terry Funk moment that you think people just gotta watch tonight? Like, as soon as they end the show with us tonight and they're gonna go on YouTube, What do they got to watch?
They gotta watch Sabu versus Terry Funk in the barbed wire match because that's like epic and it's like so much gore. It's like
Not for the weak of heart.
No, and I'm leading up to that. I'm watching ECW TV, hardcore television on the network. I paid $9.99 in February. Some others didn't. But I've started. I started when it first launched. The very first thing I started to do was watch hardcore television from ECW in chronological order, and I haven't gotten to that moment yet because it's not something I watch all the time. But if I catch one show a week or once every couple of weeks or two in a night, like I did last night, I haven't gotten up to that Sabu and Funk match, which I can't wait. Or did I? Maybe I did. I don't know. But no, was it before the Funk and Foley feud?
I think so. Yeah. No,
Okay.
it's after.
Maybe I watched it last year. There's so much stuff going on in ECW back then with Funk, Sabu, Foley, Dreamer. I was watching Dreamer.
Austin and Whipwreck, right?
Yeah.
I watched the Gauntlet match last night when Terry Funk came out and gave Raven the keys for the handcuffs. Tommy Dreamer beat Johnny Rods, some other douchebag, and then Stevie Richards, mullet Stevie Richards, and then Terry Funk came out. I don't know if he had a blowtorch or if he had the branding iron. He had the branding iron.
And it had the flames coming out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and he unlocked the handcuffs because every wrestler in the Gauntlet match was handcuffed to the ring post, and then one at a time, if Tommy Dreamer beat him, another guy would get set free. So at the moment where it's Stevie Richards, this is my Funk moment. Very small little moment. Stevie Richards is fighting Tommy Dreamer. Funk just comes out crazy as hell for some reason, who's friends with Tommy Dreamer, and gives Raven the keys, uncuffs himself. Tommy Dreamer pins Stevie Richards. Tommy Dreamer comes out to talk some smack to Raven. He gets popped with the wrist with the handcuff on it, and then he gets the loaded Raven boot, where he taps the toe of his boot. Like, what do you got in there? 3/4 you're sliding down, you moron. It looked good back then. Looks like absolute shit now. But then that plays into Funk and Dreamer and Mick Foley. Just an awesome time with Terry Funk. So I would say go back and watch all three of those. The chicken on the hand is the best though.
Oh God, I laughed for days when I went. And I actually got it on VHS way before the network. I got my own personal network here.
Sure,
But I got it on VHS, and I laughed for days. I'm like, this guy is out of his freaking mind. An actual good match, though, is Terry Funk and Great Muta for Sting and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
So I would definitely, that's in the early WCW days. I'd look into that one, too. That's a less comical, extremely good match.
Very true. And for next week's history mark, instead of going wrestlers, let's go
Manager.
do you want to do managers or do you want to do promotions?
I could do promotion.
We can do promotions.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Promotion, because that could tie into managers. Because here's my suggestion, which had, I think, one of the best heel managers of all time. I'm going to go with WCCW because of
Nice.
Gary Hart.
Gary Hart. Nice. Abdul the Butcher.
Oh yeah, Abdul the Butcher, the missing link, the dude from Japan. Kind of like a Muda ripoff, like Suzuki, Great Suzuki.
Kabuki.
Kabuki, I knew it's something.
And I only remember that because he feuded with Dusty Rhodes in NWA, And
Nice.
Dusty Rhodes has an epic promo where he does like a little monologue and does an impersonation of Marlon Brando, and he says, "Kabuki, are you an errand boy? Are you a soldier? I think you're an errand boy, my man."
No, so I'm gonna go with WCCW. Now, if you choose like one of the between the two of you, one of the bigger ones like NWA, WCW, or WWF/WWE, we could go with time period. So we could go with like WWE Ruthless Aggression time period, or early WCW, pre-post NWO stuff like that. So what are your two selections for promotions?
I'll
I'm
let you
gonna,
go first.
I'm gonna say AWA.
Nice. I love that. When Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig were badasses.
Absolutely. And don't forget, that's where Hulkamania was actually born.
And the Road
And and,
Warriors.
and Mean Gene Okerlund and
Right?
one of the best heel champions of all time, Nick Bockwinkel.
Bob Bockwinkel was good. Larry Zbyszko.
Yep, Zbyszko was WWE.
Was he WWE?
Was
Because he feuded with San Martino. I stand corrected.
Yeah, he was WWF.
Yes, with San Martino and Backlund. Okay.
Yeah, and Nick Bockwinkel, by the way, knew more big words than the dictionary. If you go back and watch his old promos.
Those guys' promos were great. Their vocabulary always great.
Yes. So now we got WCCW, we got AWA, and let's say you on the final choice.
I'm going to go with. Let's go with NWA v. No, let's go with WCW. Building up to Sting becoming the Crow, seeing that we're building up to WrestleMania, Sting and Triple H.
All right, good. So late '90s.
Yeah, got a few good stories there. I went to a few WCW shows.
Yeah, so mid to late '90s WCW, which I agree with you from seeing a couple shows for that era. That was pretty cool. And man, I tell you what, am I the only one who was a fan of Jeff Jarrett in WCW?
You have no idea how big of a fan I am of Jeff Jarrett. Yes, the chosen one. Don't piss me off.
Slap nuts.
Oh, that's I met him. Me and my good buddy Aaron met him, and I was so tempted to call him Slap Nuts.
Nice. So I think we got three great choices for the history mark next week. Mid to late '90s WCW, AWA, and WCCW, which will exclude Eric Bischoff, very end of the road, AWA. Which we can exclude very end of the road, WCW, Eric Bischoff.
Absolutely.
So, all right, with that being said, we went a couple minutes over just to make up for the couple minutes late that we went on, which we're getting back. And on behalf of Tammy's baby, Brandon, I am Silent J. Thanks for everybody tuning in, and you guys, I know, great tech end with great promos.
All right. Well, this here is not. I mean, oh man, I already botched. I'm sorry. Keep in mind, folks, that there's no Cheech without Chong, there's no Rob Van Dam without Sabu, and there's no Professor of Professional Wrestling without
the one and only Mr. Dedicated.
Nice. And we're going to save a thought for next week. I just got a response from Jake the Snake Norton. Hey, what are your thoughts on the Kimberly incident at Beyond Wrestling event? Which one of you posted, wasn't it?
The Kimberly. Which one? Which one are we talking about?
I think the chair shot power bomb.
Oh.
Oh my God.
So, my girl, she's just was disgusted with
Brandon posted it.
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah, we'll save that for next week. So that's called a teaser, Jake. If you're out there, we'll talk about that. That could be, we'll do the Road to WrestleMania. We'll do the history mark, and another thing we could do an independent, little independent blurb each week, and we could talk about that Kimberly, uh, play on a name, that Kimberly moment, which just a brutal chair shot, power bomb, and then the pin. So we will save that for next week. On behalf of everybody at Military Press Wrestling, you have the best tag team in the Red Room ever.
Right here.
There you go. The best shirts. Why don't you guys stand up and show the
Hulkamania, brother.
I'll be stepping it up next week. I got plenty.
I am, you know what? Not to be outdone, I got something that I'm going to wear next week. It's not a shirt, my friends, which I couldn't find my white CM Punk t-shirt, so I got my undisputed heavyweight champion
Fantastic.
with the arrow pointing down to Space Mountain. Little flare out homage right there. I'm going to be pulling out a little bit of wrestling attire. That's not t-shirt related, folks. El Caco is going to make his return.
Hey, El Caco.
So I'll see you guys next week on the show. Oh, and by the way, on vetsonmedia.com, my wonderful duo got their bios to me, and I got mine done up. So we're going to have a section on vetsonmedia.com, so you could go and you could find out a little bit about our love of wrestling, and they'll have the links for the YouTube show. And I'm working on the stuff for podbean.com and iTunes. You'll be able to hear this show probably, I would say, within the next 2 weeks on iTunes. We're going to get a couple more, a couple more in the tank, so I can put a few episodes on there. And so, starting in a couple weeks after the end of every show, you can go to iTunes and Podbean and download the show in a podcast form and tell your friends. So, a lot of cool things happening. Oh, and I got Brian from Iron Mike Mag. He's going to be making a logo for MPW, Military Press Wrestling. So,
Brother.
So, yeah, we're going to have a logo. We're going to have a section on iTunes and podbean.com, and we're going to have a bio page on vetsonmedia.com. So that'll all be coming to you within the next couple weeks. So, guys, the show's growing. Thanks again for being on. I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for having us, man.
And you know what we got to do? Brandon said, Tammy's baby boy said, you guys do a WrestleMania thing.
Every year.
You know what we got to do for the YouTube channel? I got to come over. I'm going to bring my GoPro, and I'm going to bring my stationary camera, and we are going to film some WrestleMania footage, crowd footage for the YouTube channel. So let's think about some cool stuff we could do with that, and maybe we can do a quick 30-second interview, quick 30-second real world type stuff where you sit down in the
that'd be epic.
Post match, get our post match opinions, and we'll get that ready. So that'd be a big WrestleMania thing. I was talking to Brandon, and I think that'd be pretty cool. We'll have to get some live footage of us watching WrestleMania. And yes, I'm inviting myself over.
No, more than welcome.
And I will be bringing a couple wrestling masks.
Oh, well, we'll all be geared up here.
Which I got a new one on the way. You got to have your WrestleMania mask. So that's what I ordered today. Love you, hon. So I gotta go. But all right, guys, take care. Next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on vetsonmedia.com. And in conjunction with Vets on Sports, it is MPW, Military Press Wrestling. We'll talk about Kimberly on the independent circuit. We got our history mark, and our road to WrestleMania. So on behalf of everybody here at Military Press Wrestling, I am Silent J, and we will see you guys later. So, watch your wrestling, folks, and watch your Terry Funk stuff.
We'll see you right here.
All right, take care, guys.
Yep.
See ya.